And we are slowly but surely loading into the next matchup that Zach and I will also be accompanying you for, everybody watching, which is going to be Severance versus Jinx. And in the background, we've already had our first lobby being set up. Good dear friend DMR from Team Jinx, the very well-known Hillbilly main, who's basically been at the top level for the past, I want to say forever, because I don't remember a time when that guy did not play Billy and hasn't been considered one of the best players at him. It's also very fitting that Hillbilly ended up their first pick, since we already did see Jinx play Hillbilly against Team Void. They used him to choke them out in a 3-0. And yeah, famously, they have DMR on the team, who's obviously also going to be playing, who was so ready to play this upcoming matchup that he already invited our producer mid-game of the previous set. So someone's very eager to play, but it's also just absolutely lovely to see how ready our players are to face off one another.
Yeah, I want to say I'm super excited for this set. I was really impressed by Severance's performance during Ohalo's League. I mean, I was I didn't make it obvious. I mean, I did make it pretty obvious, but the performance of Severance matching Eternal on like nurse sets as well was really impressive. So I think that Jinx are in for a bit of a challenge here, but it seems like they had a really strong performance coming into qualifying. So I feel like we might be in for a close set. We have Hillbilly kicking us off, and that's going to be on Cowshed. And then for game 2, we have Unknown on, I believe, Coal Tower 2. So 2 relatively strong killers. Unknown going to be Severance's pick. And then we also have a Mastermind tiebreaker setup, which I am thinking is probably going to be likely given the strength of these two teams. We do obviously know DMR is a cracked Billy as he showcases in the qualifying stage. So I'm expecting like a good, strong result for him for Team Jinx. And if Severance can match that, we will see. But yeah, good quick setup, and I think we have a really fun game ahead of us. Yeah, what do you think? Did you see much of Severance during our last event?
I mean, Zach, it can only be fun when it's us two on when it's us two casting.
Yeah.
I feel like this very first set is either going to make or break this matchup for Team Jinx. They, in my opinion, have the upper hand here, considering they are based practically the Hillbilly team, especially also their region that they're from, because this is a Middle Eastern team. This region is better known for their Hillbilly players and for their overall 1v1 community that already established itself very, very early on in the history of competitive Dead by Daylight. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure if I had the privilege of seeing Bolitar or Team Severance play a Hillbilly set yet, so it's just going to be also more interesting. I have seen plenty of Severance in the previous tournaments, since to come back to the question that you asked. So there's obviously going to be very high expectations for Severance, since this is also the team that did end up beating Eternal.
They didn't quite, but they almost reverse sweep them. I believe it was in the losers semis.
Wasn't it in the higher bracket? It was one of
them. So it was a really long
fourth only when people thought they were going to be third.
They were, I think, 4th or 5th. I don't remember.
They did finish 4th. They were 4th. That I know for sure.
Yeah, the first game, I think their first game of the Ohalo's League was against Eternal, and then they tied them twice, and I think we saw 5 or 6 games or something before Eternal took it. And then
that's what that was. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, because it was a very long game. I remember it was casting it with Prion, and then the losers semi-final against Eternal, the rematch.
I've got the expert here.
Yeah, saw them go 0-2 down from Eternal, and then they came back and they nearly won the Dracula set. It was very, very close. So, they are definitely a team. I think we saw a very strong killer performance from Ward in particular, so definitely a highlight player for them. I'm looking forward to see what he can do this tournament.
Ward was Bolitar this time too.
Yes. That was
someone's
who was originally
name.
Yeah, it's come back to his OG name, and that's who we sort of identified him as. I know him as Ward. I didn't know him as Bolitar before, but he has come back to that name, revisiting the OG name. We have a first chase onto Cartney. And these loops, I believe, are quite hard to curve as Billy because they're so uneven. And going to just burn through these resources. We are, interestingly enough, seeing Rancor in play as well, which I think is going to be pretty valuable resource. Which Gens pops and gets information on the survivors. Can't even be taking chase around these fillers. Quite a few filler tiles used already. And not quite able to curve around and get the hit onto Cartney there. Going to continue around. We do see a no either player actually on the Shem. This is pretty standard as well because of the aggressive play styles we've seen on Blue before with the slugging and whatnot. I'm going to take him to edge map. And it doesn't look like he's going to be going on for much longer, but opting to die in the corner of the map. So my job is done. I've used this entire side of the map. Time to run corner. And it looks like we have 2 gens on the verge of completion. They doubled that one in main, I believe, and we have about 70%, 60% on that second one. Because they doubled that, I don't think there's probably as much progression as we expected. It was the Renato on the no midler on that gen, so not the safest survivor to be out in the open like that. But yeah, I think a relatively good start for the survivors. And yeah, a good first chase from Carney.
This game so far reminds me a lot of what I saw, what Brian and I saw in the Archon and Rapture matchup, where we also saw a Hillbilly game on Cowshed, where our survivor side has this certain system where they have one survivor take chase in one of the corners of the map, and then they double the main building generator and another survivor split on another. So that after that first generator, you see, after that first chase, you see, or you try to have 2 generators pop. But unfortunately, Cartney running out of tiles very early on. You also could see a good amount of respect on DMR's name, I want to say, based on the way Cartney played against him. Dropping those pallets extremely early on, not wanting to play even what you consider, what I consider as well, one of the strongest tiles on this map. They really don't want to tempt or allow DMR, give him any leeway to go for these ridiculous curves that he is very capable of pulling off. So yeah, Cowshed, really difficult map here. It's very open, survivors are very prone to get slugged very quickly. It seems like DMR is going for the slug approach here. Also, on a side note, as I pointed out, or as I mentioned, Rapture Flix finally making up his mind what team he's gonna play for, since that player signed up for with 3 separate teams in the sign up sheets we provided. But yeah, he does play on Severance. Past Mathis, who said he's missing Flix on Rapture, he's on Severance. This is where he's playing now. Great to see him back. I was really missing him on Rapture back then. When I didn't see him play for Rapture in the qualifiers, but great to see him back for Severance now. Big step up to considering how successful Severance were in our All Hallows League of 2024. DMR trying to recapture the pressure now that he wished he had earlier into this trial. With our survivors still being very far spread from one another, trying to get as much pressure in different areas of the map. And it will be Bolitar who does not force the pickup here, does go down to the M1. Unfortunately, that eruption comes in a bit early, and this might just be enough for DMR to reclaim the pace of the game here, but Cartney is saved at the exact same time, so our ace player may have already made it to the other side of the map. But if any killer could catch up quickly, it is going to be the Hillbilly.
Yeah, absolutely. He does have that pop, goes the Weasel as well with the proportionate sort of regression, and knows what gens are being worked on. That one's going to take quite a big hit to pop there. And maybe smells a survivor in the area, whoever was working on it, but sees these 2 gens in close proximity being worked on. So he's got this hook within this high area of progression. So he probably suspects there's maybe not too much progression elsewhere on the map, but yeah, it's holding down this specific area, and the resources are being depleted occasionally. One comes through, but he does hit Bolitar, so Shen's going to live to see another day on the Renato. And obviously continue chase onto Bolitar here, running around this filler, and you can see there's quite a couple, there's a handful of filletars still in the area, so relatively still safe of an area. Obviously he gets on that sun. A really nice curve around that pallet. Super nice. Bolitar not able to react to that in time, and that's going to be his second stage for him. We do still see 2 gens Oh, never mind. Sorry, that was the death of the Molotov. Clearly not watching that properly enough. And
I forgive you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mathis. I appreciate it. Yeah, so it's Buster Renato. That is the survivor that was lurking around the area earlier. Also went for the save. Seems like they might be working the other side of the map right now, but DMR doesn't really seem interested. It seems wants to hold this sort of line of 4 gens along the side of the map, which is, gradually, like we said, whistling. The resources are whittling down and down and down. This side's a bit more safer, but that side was seeing quite a few chases earlier on, so it might be like he's playing for some sort of 4K1 or 4K2 kind of result here.
And now we're back with that 3v1 and those two really annoying perks for these survivors. The combination of Eruption and Pop Goes the Weasel, it is just every single down is just going to snowball over and over. Hello, flashlight save. Flicks nearby are equipped with that torch here, was able to get the rescue. DMR losing the pressure. I was about to talk about that Pop Eruption chain, but he just lost it thanks to one measly item that Flicks brought here, but taking it utilizing it to its full advantage. DMR trying to slide off the hay bale, but gets stuck on the barrel. Also really interesting that he slides off the barrel, but gets stuck, slides off the hay bale, but he gets stuck on the circular barrel. He's trying to go for another curve around, instead just breaks the pallet here. Now Hartley is zoned on track, pre-drops it. DMR 180s immediately back to the generator, because in best case scenario, he can 4K this on 2 generators remaining. Won't even need Rancor if he plays his cards right. But of course, also the generators start to not be or start to have the entity blocker on, so DMR can't even get any more regression on them. So it's probably not going to be worth it even to kick these generators and just have Eruption and Pop do the job. And it doesn't seem like DMR can even kick it anymore, since he was struggling to do it just then. Or maybe he was contemplating last second changing his mind to instead wait for the Pop Goes to get more significant regression on that generator. Does manage to slide off here, and a decisive stun by Flicks into the blind. It's gonna cost DMR a couple seconds. He loses track of all the survivors. And now it's really difficult. What gen does he end up going for? Finds Flicks one more time on this generator in the corner. He has to get it down as quickly as possible if he wants to re-engage the regression chain that his perks allow him to have.
Yeah, they seem to be splitting the map quite well, considering it's only 3 of them left. We've got 2 injuries. I mean, it doesn't really matter too much against a Hillbilly Chainsaw, but ultimately, that down on Flicks is going to really change the pace of the game right now. And yeah, Carney's going to go down in the corner, and it's just around him, but he's here to pick up Flicks. Is DMR going to opt to pick up? What? Oh, and he's getting annoyed. Never mind. A bit of a spectator bug with no head remaining on the Billy. A bit of a sight for sore eyes. I'm not
almost
sure.
No brain.
Yeah. So that's going to be Flicks saying goodbye in this trial. And we have 2 survivors remaining. So I guess only a matter of time. If they could get one more gen done, that'd probably be ideal for the Severance survivors. But DMR
what's going on there?
DMR has held this area down super well.
There's no HUD on the bottom left. I've not seen that one before. How did that happen?
I didn't even realize. Oh, the perks have just vanished. The perks have vanished. I didn't even realize. Oh, okay, they have.
Swap of the perspective.
I love Dead by Daylight
on the gameplay. That was ridiculous. I've never seen that one before. Just the HUD just disappearing. But yeah, nothing that a quick swap of the perspective can't swap. It's like restarting a laptop or computer. It fixes 99% of the issues. But yeah, 2v1 remaining, so all really DMR needs to do now is find Shen, which he does. Goes for the long swing around. The overhand hook there, straight onto Shen's forehead.
Bring the right hook.
4K, giving him the right hook, yeah, the right overhand, the bend shot. The bend cross, if he's right-handed, that is. Yeah, I know my boxing terms.
Yep, yeah. Absolutely. I think that...
yeah?
Oh, sorry, I was going to say, I think DMR sort of noticed that 4 gen from the start, and we're just playing to that win condition, and he's managed to achieve it. So, really well executed, I'd say. What were you going to say?
Yeah, I feel like this is the lucky break that they also needed, since not trying to refer to the perk. It's really difficult to to use phrases and idioms and not talk about perks by accident. But yeah, DMR wants to shoulder the burden. I did it again.
Bit of a plot twist.
No.
And you started it.
How far can we go? But yeah, DMR wants to take all the responsibility for this Hillbilly set, since he is basically the face of the Billy in most people's minds. And yeah, 4K2 is really what you need against a team, against the team with the worst logo in the entire league.
Oh wow!
But I have to point it out. Yeah, they've just got their name there. It's really difficult to read on stream. Okay, everybody knows that, and they know it as well. They did it intentionally. They even told me. But yeah, 4K2 is exactly what they needed coming into this set. As I pointed out, this is the set that, to my mind, will either set or make or break this matchup for Team Jinx. Because that unknown pick is going to be really difficult, considering that is one of Severance's strongest killers. Bolitar, very well known, has been extremely successful on him in the All Hallows League especially. So very recent, very topical for them to pick the unknown. And yes. Yeah, I'm happy that DMR was able to pull off such a performance, because that's just going to make it really difficult on Severance to actually come back to it.
Yeah, the team's sort of playing as we expect them. DMR on his signature pick for the team, delivering a 4K2. So, going to be, I'd say, somewhat challenging. I think it's still a doable result, because it is Billy, and I mean, if you get in that scenario and couch, yeah. So you have that scenario where I don't know, maybe DMR played those loops really well, and you can, like you said, they obviously know him as a good Billy player, so they did agree. They put some respect on his name and weren't like. They weren't chancing anything, right? Which somewhat worked in DMR's favor, because he was able to shut down the map, or that side of the map, so quickly and early on, which really like paid its dividends sort of later on into the match. But there was still a lot of RNG filler, and I think it is quite for this map particularly. You do see it quite a lot, but a lot of pellets were used, and for him to still burn through all of those and secure a 4K2, I think it's really impressive, and it just kind of shows like how consistent he is on Billy to hold that down despite how many resources were used. So good pacing, and I think a good result. So we'll see what Severance can do sort of in that reverse fixture. Do you think that maybe they're expecting to lose this set?
I feel like Bolitar always has the ability to respond to any win condition, especially since he's made a name for himself recently quite well, quite effectively, and now being known as one of the best, most proficient variety killers. As I said before, I'm not sure if I've seen him on Billy before, though.
Yeah, me either. I don't think I've seen his Billy. And I did cast quite a few Severance games. And I mean, they were best of fives, right? So a lot of like options. I'm not sure if the killer pool was like that, but I have not seen Bolitar's Billy, so I have no idea what to expect from this. So it's a bit of a mystery for me. But what remains to be seen is it was Jinx's pick, so they are confident in it, and for them to win, they just need to complete 4 gens, right? So they may opt to just try and do that and focus on that. But it is a Billy, so it could go either way potentially. We're just setting up the lobby in the background. Players are ready, just readying up. And I think that our expectations for the set sort of going as we sort of predicted so far.
Cowshed still has a lot to offer, especially based on the amount of dead zones we have on the map. And I feel like it's, especially if you have a map pick and ban setup or process, the way we have it in DBDLeague as well this tournament, where you may pick one map from a pool of 3, or basically the team that doesn't pick the killer ends up banning 1, and the team that did pick the killer will end up picking one or the other of the 2 remaining maps in the pool. And the maps have been so far more deciding than the killer themselves, I almost want to say, but that's something that's been a very long discussion in the DBD community altogether, where people complain that maps will make or break. I really like that phrase today. Make or break the set either of the trial, either for the survivors or the killer, because even a nurse can't really do that much on an Eyrie of Crows or a groaning storehouse in. If we do look at it from an optimal perspective, obviously everything, something can always go wrong and always go awry. And then we're looking at Cowshed now. Also the same thing what we watched with the Plague on Chapel before is I find it really interesting how since 2021, which is when I started comp and had to scrim against Executioner and Nurse on Chapel, still the playstyle is kind of, or the plans are always the same, where essentially even if you have Plague, it's you always want to have one or two people on main building, get that generator out of question as early as possible. So yeah, basically because that's gen right in the center of the map. So once you destabilize that center for the killer, he has to commit to one of the individual sides of the map. And then your third survivor, who's not in chase at the start, usually works on the generators that are on the left or the right of Shack, right next to that main building, to once again get rid of one of those other central generators, or they've just pop one of those circus generators. It's obviously always about that 3-gen breaking, which is the most important for our survivor side, since the 3-gen is always what a killer can play around, even in the late stages of the game, even when there's not a single kill acquired. Yet a 3-gen is still what can turn the tide in your trial. So yeah, I find that super interesting to spectate, and yeah, we're also now loading in, hopefully soon, to our next, or to the reverse fixture of the Hillbilly set. If it wasn't for one of the survivors that keep getting abandoned in the loading in screen, but yeah, shouldn't take as long. Maybe a game has to be restarted, but that should really should fix it. So at worst, we still have to wait for another couple of minutes. And it seems like, yeah, we will have to restart the game.
Yeah,
but Zach and I are still here for you guys.
I just wanted to talk about we've talked about the strategies on certain maps against certain killers. I mean, the map is such a massive consideration for playstyles. I mean, just in general, I'm not talking about this set. We've seen some like Ormond Lake Mine picks. We've seen some Grim Pantry picks. How much influence do you think the map has on how the game goes? I mean, we have certain balancing, we have certain maps set for select killers, so there's obviously, I guess, thoughts behind all of that process. How the players react to that, I don't know. Like, I think it's just, it introduces a lot of different playstyles and different strategies that these teams practice for. I don't know, like you say with different strategies, how are these teams? I mean, I'm just yapping right here, Mathis, buying time, but yeah, I do think that the sort of combination of map and killer really gives us a lot of variety in the playstyles that we see, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So it's definitely not just one-sided. My claim about the maps, I feel like maps are more important than the killers themselves, though. Still, map strategy is more decisive, in my opinion. You can still, even despite the fact that all the killers are obviously equipped with a completely different set of abilities, it's still generally always the same gist of things, where it's a large map, small map, break 3-gen, die corner. And that's effective against any killer, or die in the right spots. That is not just corner, really. Dying in the right spots is always more important, so the meme is not as accurate as many would think. If you still die in the corner where your teammates are doing the gens, that's not really going to help them, is it? So you still want to do that on the other side of the map. But yeah, still the synergy between the synthesis of killer and map obviously paint very different pictures each time. We can just compare that by saying, yeah, a nurse game on the game. On the Gideon Meat plant is going to look very different from a Bubba on the Eyrie of Crow. It's should be a given. But yeah, it's mostly the map, in my opinion, that really dictates the pace of the game, and not necessarily the killer.
Yeah, and also how they sort of execute that strategy before the first or second chase is sort of ended as well, right? Because early starts, I mean, we see games get decided by very much what happens early on. I feel like I've seen like, for example, Oni sets, you can get the killer, or you can get the power early and snowball that. We saw DMR destroy the resources on the top side of the map on that 4-gen side, really set them up nicely to get those quick downs and secure the 4K too. So it's also how the killers play the map and how the survivors really direct the chases too as well. It's just like so many things to consideration, like the Grim Pantry set Vecna yesterday. We saw first chase at main building, and then the second chase was at Shack, and then just the game was over at that point. So when you employ these sort of pretty transferable strategies, you quite often see like you can succeed really. Which is why I think we talk about strategy a lot, because it makes the difference, I think, in some of these sets, or it can do.
It's what it boils down to.
Yeah, I mean, on sets like Billy, it's pretty, like, everyone has relatively, it's pretty straightforward game plan for them. But some of the weirder sets that we've seen are also really fun to watch. I'm excited to see what Mastermind can do on Grim Pantry if we do make it to that tiebreaker as well. And I also have to say that I've been waiting to cast a Mastermind set because I haven't, and Wesker is one of my favorite killers to play against. So I am praying to God that we see a tiebreaker. I really do want this to go to game 3. Yeah. So if I can cross that one off the list of the things that I want to cast as well. Unknown as well, a very well-designed killer. Always a joy to watch on a map like Cold Tower. Covering a lot of distance with his TPs. I know Mastermind sets, we don't see too much. Mastermind sets in particular, a lot of time has been passed since the killer's release, so a lot of people know how to like counter him and whatnot. And it looks like we are still getting some disconnection issues in the lobby, so let's just see if it manages to go through. But yeah, I mean, these 3 sets.
Go for a break if it continues.
Potentially, yeah. We'll see. We'll try it one more time. I think we've been gifted with some goods. It does look good. Yes. Yeah, we are loading in. So very nice. So we did initiate a restart of the client, so that seems to have fixed it. So fingers crossed it doesn't break again.
Have you tried turning it off and on again?
That is always the deal. It always is always the solution, especially with custom games and DBD. I'm going to restart my game because I don't know what else to do.
But yes, we have made it. We are loading into game numero dos with the Hillbilly on Fractured Cowshed this time. The reverse fixture, as we've already used that phrase about 50 times today.
A million times, yeah.
With Politor on the Hillbilly representing Team Severance in the best fashion he possibly could. That's Moon sniped off spawn immediately. And we were almost rendering out a possible win for Team Severance, considering the 4K2 win condition. But Moon kind of gifting Politor exactly what he needed, embracing him with open arms. But Politor has got no love to share. All he's got is iron and blood. The chainsaw penetrating right through his body and being put on the hook right away. Also not tempting an early unhook here. Politor immediately heading back. Before we continue with the action of the game here, Zach, that's a very interesting collection of perks you've got on the bottom right there too.
That was the fastest down we've had so far this tournament.
Oh yeah.
And that was 10 seconds. That was 10 seconds.
World record.
Thank you very much, Toby, for timing that. I'm sure it was not hard work. With a 10-second countdown, and DMR has been found here. It's going to come through into Moon, and Boltar just opts to go straight back, but unfortunately a pile of hay is going to get in his way. No rhyme intended there.
It was. He planned it.
It was, yeah. It
It's
was
just
actually me that put that hay
spontaneous.
bale there, yep. And Moon's going to be found here and doesn't have the distance to make it to Shaq, so he's going to have to run edge map. And relatively quick initial second down. The decision to go back has resulted in Moon not being able to make enough distance, and we do see the gen's not quite, I mean, they are about to pop, but a second stage so far early on, this is really good for Severance.
Those generators are progressed quite far, and I wouldn't be surprised if they actually managed to pop all of them that they're currently working on. We saw one survivor only at the 30% mark, but the other two made it already past 70, and Bulletar only has that ruined regression available. It is not going to be as effective or as immediately effective as a pop goes the weasel. Hopefully he doesn't get stuck on this pile of hay again, and he does not this time. Makes it all the way around. DMR is in chase. The Billy player himself should know exactly what to do against his own killer main. And it will be Moon rescued already. That's one survivor abandoning his gen, so at best they can only pop 2 generators. But a 4-on-3 would still be enough for Bulletar to decide the set for his team. And it would be, out of all the teams, Team Severance that is known for the comebacks, as you've already pointed out with the Eternal and Severance matchup we had in our previous tournament. Moon makes it to the corner of the map, buying a bit more time here, and
nice
all they really
there.
need to do is play. Oh, beautiful, yeah, like it's playing against Nurse. And all he needs to do is buy time for his team here, so they do push past that win condition, because there's no way you're going to play for hours at currently looking at the pace, and it looks like the chase does suffice. They even take it down for him. That is going to be K on that far generator ever. Moon runs right into that generator that was 90%, a big misplay. That crowd control comes in to block the window into the balanced landing. Moon gets a bit more distance this time, does not get sniped by the Hillbilly, but all he has left is this extremely unsafe pellet, and it is all about 50-50s. Score is 1-0 bot Moon, and it is 1-1 immediately. He does go down. Dark pops that generator he was working on. Really smart decision by Team Jinx to come back for that generator. Meanwhile, we've got DMR on that generator not DMR, we've got one of the survivors. Yeah, already, it was DMR on one of those generators already really far as well. So it's looking really good here for Team Jinx to win this first set. At worst, they are looking at a tie condition, but I can already promise you, Zach, this means we're going into a Mastermind set.
I think it might mean that, and I'm very, very happy for it. I don't want to wish the demise of a team, but I really do want that Mastermind set. Yes, it does. So really well played to secure that tie condition at the very least, and that final chase from Moon, I think, really sealed the deal in terms of that, because whilst the first 2 downs were relatively quick, there was a bit of a delay in that third one, and K crucially coming in for the body block, and the Claudette Dark being able to follow up on that gen that was being worked on. Of course, Bulletar made the decision to commit to the chase. Does have the ruin as well, which is, okay, so that's going to be the win secured with 4 gens completed. So well played by Team Jinx, and despite such a strong start, they clearly played for that win condition, just pushing out those gens. And the tunnel out didn't really come as quick as maybe it should have, given that the fact that the survivors decided to commit to the gens which resulted in this. But yeah, nice finesse on that main building. Pallets. Doesn't look like he has 2 to work with. It's just going to be a down. It is a nice crouch, and doubles back towards the main area. It does have a pallet in here to play. I was going to pull that. And nice. Gets a nice little 180 flick around that. And last gen being worked on. You see that toolbox in play. And there's 2 gens being worked on, so they may well get 5 gens done. We'll see. Gonna opt to slug, and works over to check. Smells a little something going on up here, and yeah, does find K here on this gen. DMR is just going to be committing that gen. Doesn't even want to leave to commit for the pickup. Just wants to do the gen. Never mind, just leave it. You can see on the HUD there, has left the gen, wants to go for the pickup, as K makes the call that he's committing to them. And it's not going to happen in yet. Dark gets picked up. K going to see a basement hook, and looks like DMR is going back to that gen he was working on. And yeah, really good gen efficiency from the Jinx side, I have to say.
already looking at the win here for Team Jinx, it's gonna be really interesting to see then in the unknown set if Jinx do maintain their pace coming into that second set, or if Severance do end up taking their own, or their home pick, their home advantage there. DMR is the one furthest on the generator. Bolitar, so trying to find our survivor, and I'm starting to wonder as well how much that build really did for him, because I think we've only really seen crowd control activate once during that entire chase on the Harvester, where Moon was planning to use that balanced landing regardless, so basically nullifying its effect for the entire early stage, or so far in the entire trial, since he's still got 3 stacks available of it. DMR almost getting sniped cross map also. We do see that last generator popping, so a big difference between Jinx and Severance here with their overall results, where we're looking at potential outs for Team Jinx in contrast to the 4K at 2 generators remaining. For DMR, or the Severance survivors in the previous trial. But yeah, that Ruin also just not doing a lot for Bolitar in any way, shape or form, since all he did really was stay close to the hook, and didn't profit from pushing off any of these survivors from the generators, which is where Ruin would come in clutch. I feel like a Pop Eruption would have entailed better results similar to what we saw in our previous game. So it may have come down to the false choice of perks, or poor judged choice of perks. As we now see another chase continue in main building, that M1 is not going to connect. DMR not going to get hit from the other side of the moon. Haha, funny, because one of the survivors is called Moon. But yeah, 2 survivors still injured in the trial. Dark currently the only one incapacitated, not in the position to open one of the exit gates. And they're now really trying to push to the best possible results either side. Bolitar hoping to go for that remaining 3-man slug to get that 4K 0 generators remaining. And it is starting to look very likely, as DMR is spotted in the open, has no tile available besides a drop pallet, and gets clobbered straight across it. 4K 0 generators remaining, so we're looking at a difference of 2 generators overall. Hello.
They're gonna use Dead Hard. They're really nice picks up Dark. Dark is gonna not see the light of day for very much longer. K is gonna continue chasing around Shaq. I mean, it is just a matter of time right now, but really well played. We would expect Jinx to win on their pick, given the strength of DMR and also the knowledge of the killer, and playing for that win condition really well. Sweet. K's going to bite the dust around the side of Shaq, and just going to be picking the survivors right now and finishing the deal. So we will be going into that unknown set of Severance's pick, and hopefully seeing quite a close game like we have here. I wanted to touch on the build as well, also because I feel like this map is probably more palette orientated than window fault orientated, as far as I know. So you see them play, especially against a Billy. You don't want to play a window fault against a Billy, because I think it's more unsafe than a palette. The amount of distance that a palette gives you, and yeah, not getting too much value from Ruin. I mean, towards the end of the game, but the gens were already done, right? So not really seeing any sort of value from that. But I also think it was just the survivors playing to that win condition and splitting gens really nicely. They were running in sort of on one side of the map in particular, and gens were being done on the other side. Pretty standard stuff. Considering the shaky start that they had, they were able to bring it back, and I think it was mainly the decisions of the tunnel out and how long that took that really gave them the time that they needed to win this set.
Certainly a very impressive show by Team Jinx. Personally, I did not expect it to be this obvious, the difference in results, because a 4K on 2 and a 4K on 0 is a very impressive difference, because that means you hammered through the 4 respectively the 3 gen or gens on the map. And despite Jinx's obvious advantage of having DMR on the team and being this team that is known for the Hillbilly, Severance is no easy opponent whatsoever, so it's impressive they were able to repair all 5 generators on no other map than Cowshed. against the Hillbilly as well. So we have both of our survivors slowly perishing on hook here. One finally bites the dust. DMR, last man standing, very fittingly for the set that he was practically the face off as well. So yeah, the perk choice unfortunately did not pay off in the way that Bolitar was hoping it would. And DMR's choice being much more efficient, securing that 4K on 2 in the previous game. And with that being said, we are going to go on a very short break until we are back with the Unknown set in just a few moments. Also with Severance starting being their pick. So we'll see if they're able to take the second set and enforce the tiebreaker, or if Jinx take it home 2-0 right from the get-go without any need for a tiebreaker and making Zach sad that there's no Mastermind. So everybody, stay tuned. We'll see you in just a quick moment.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. After a short break, we now have Bolitar for Team Severance playing their pick on Cold Tower with the Unknown. We see Corrupt Intervention in play, and looks like a survivor's already been found near the main building, but it doesn't seem like he's interested in the chase, potentially. Never mind. He is following him right round. Of course, with the TPs, Unknown has a very wide map coverage, so a map like Cold Tower maybe doesn't pose too much of a problem. It is also, like we spoke about last game, a map that these players know very well, very, very well experienced on these maps. It is one that's scrimmed a lot, one that a lot of killers are played on, and I believe that was one of the Hex Totems cleansed off in the distance. A nice little window hit there onto K. K going to take chase around Shaq, going to continue around. Still, unfortunately, I don't think he has enough distance. He might be going down here, and yeah, unfortunately not going to be lasting too long there. Nice early down for K, but we see a lot of progression on the map. We see 60% on one gen and 50% on another. So nice early start here for Severance, especially it's a basement hook as well, so that's going to be a bit dangerous for the team.
Compared to other Unknown games we've seen so far, that was a ridiculously early down. So far, we've always seen at least 1 or 2 generators pop until that first survivor is down to begin with, or if even at all, any hook is acquired by the killer. So Bolitar doing a great job on that, and the pressure our survivors are exerting on the generators can't really be avoided. A fantastic TP straight onto Moon there to intercept the early rescue. Also, really interesting to see is that Wretched Fate he's using, the perk at the top, if anybody was wondering, one of the Dark Lord perks. Practically a personalized Pentimento on the Obsession, but of course out of everybody that Bolitar found, it just had to be the Obsession, practically nullifying any pressure that could come from this perk. We see Dark successfully get the rescue on Bolitar, not on Bolitar, hello, on K, and K makes it out of the out of Hell's Kitchen there, essentially, being able to make it out of basement without taking a hit and only taking that infection the weakened effect very far into the map, makes it all the way to that main building. Bolitar does not want to greed for a lucky shot here, and instead just goes around, plays it safe, maybe breaks one of the pallets, one of the walls, I mean. No, just instead holds straight through. He did break it, yeah, as I said. So, also trying to catch out Survivor off guard, that looked like, and K is just going to use this opportunity to sneak off and just walks off, so there's no scratch marks, no hint at all to where our Survivor could have ran off to. And it will be Mads found in main building here, playing LED in a onesie, also very curious pick, but does help with blending in since the skin is all green, and it kind of works with the color palette of the Cold Tower. Takes a very quick down. Dark finds the, I'm assuming that's going to be the Wretched Face on K, and it will be, yeah, there we go, cleansed, and it will be Mads now second stage, as our survivors have the furthest generator progressed to 40%, and Bolitar starting to reclaim some of the pressure of the overall, starting to turn the tide on this game, since survivors usually have a very strong early game against any Unknown on the huge variation, second variation of the Cold Tower. And now finding survivors and getting a second weakened state as well, while Mads is still on that hook waiting to be rescued.
Yeah, one thing I've noticed about his gameplay so far is he's very knowledgeable about how the bounce works on the power. He's able to get that explosion initially on impact and understands the sort of structures that he's playing into. Doesn't want to commit there to Moon. Instead, lands a long-range shot onto K. That was really good after that immediate TP. So sniffed a little heal out there, and yeah, K's going to be zoned over to the corner of the map, and is that going to hit? No, it just misses. K's going to pre-drop that and run around this and play this loop. This is not a safe loop against the Unknown because you can aim pretty high on this loop and get a... Oh, never mind, he fires it over the pallet. Yeah, I've seen Unknowns before fire up against the tree, and it just bounces straight down, and it's a pretty good way of getting a hit there, but he's able just to... lock K in animation with the pallet drop and gets it down anyway. So that's the second hook stage onto K. 3 stages on the board. We have a gen close. That's the 4th gen. Potentially to be completed. It looks like Moon was lurking around there too, so might hop back on that. But Mad's going to take chase now. Off case that's on her, and a nice little infection there with the UVX. I'll play this tile. It doesn't look like it's the safest, but... yeah, not able to get that really nice dodging out. Playing this window really well. He's on the right side of this loop. But opts actually to move away from that. And I don't know if that was the best move, to be honest, because you lose that safety right now. 4 the people going to be used onto K. TP's straight away as soon as he sees that unhook come through. Wants to secure this tunnel out and isn't going to let Dark get away with that. Going to run him into the corner, waste as much time as possible. And... unfortunately, the Z wall going to come in clutch there. Gets auto aimed onto the window. That is the auto aim I think I've seen today. Really, really unfortunate. But yeah, we'll see how fast he can get K down here right now. Looks like actually he's committing onto the core there. Never mind. And just dodges out really nicely. Doesn't gonna last long though. So that is a 4th gen completed for the Jinx survivors. And I felt like Volatil's lost a lot of his pressure that he had a bit early on with that such a quick down.
This is starting to look really tough for Severance on their pick as well. Still, we have to take into consideration that the last generator hasn't even been started yet. So there's still a lot to do for our survivors, and Moon trying to take advantage of the weakness that Volatile is showing on that Z-wall. Goes for the medium vault, barely dodges the UVX, still takes the clubber right to the back of the head, and only has an already used shack building available that, as we already saw at the very start of the game in that first chase, could already be a death trap since it's so in the corner. I mean, also very patient on that vault, knows fully well that Volatile wouldn't reach him if he just stands there and just goes for the medium vault, since the fast vault there isn't necessary to make it away from the killer in time. Also now forced to go for the UVX, a beautiful body block, dodges into the killer and avoids both NM1 and the UVX and the M1 right after. Moon once again with a phenomenal chase, similar to what we saw in the Hillbilly game. Despite being caught so early, still manages to reclaim the title of the so far best chaser between both of these teams.
Yeah, well, that was a crucial chase for Moon there, especially so far away from all the gents, so they were able to get working that 5th generator. I feel like the decision to use UVX and that initial pallet interaction, he may have reached the swing potentially, but I guess he didn't really want to risk it, playing safe and not taking any unnecessary risks. And a nice little vault there from Dark, dodging out on the UVX. And that is going to be at main building, so crucially, that was actually a 4th stack of Grim Embrace there by hooking Moon. So he also managed to buy himself some time, and really nice landing that onto Mads. And he does get hit over that window, and he's still got the infection on. So is he going to be able to survive and dispel that UVX? I don't know. We'll see. Using the tree for cover, and he lands it. That's such a good hit from Molitar. Being really consistent with that power, and Mads not able to dodge out on it. Smells this last gem being done rightly so. Moon's gonna get unhooked by Dark in the distance. Gonna kick this gen and yeah, opts to TP away instead of looking for the side, but he's jumping right back on it, and that is the Deja Vu Survivor. So has that increased progression on the gen whilst this reset happens. So they're allocating their resources effectively, and you can see the efficiency by Team Jinx, despite the good skill from Bolitar. And did they finish that gen? They don't. He manages to hook the LED right next to it. That's probably not the greatest scenario to be in, actually, now. When it looked like they were about to pop that gen, now that hook position is going to really throw a spanner in the works. And I'm not sure what other progression they have, Mathis.
And they could have body blocked as well. You saw a second survivor run in from the side there on the back of the jungle gym. So weren't able to make that spontaneous decision quickly enough to adapt to the situation, because there just had to be a hook on that generator that was practically popping. But yeah, that's just going to be completely demolished now, since Bolitar has absolutely zero reason to leave this very area. He's got the generator with the most progress. He's got a survivor inching closer towards his death. Mads only got about 15 to 20 seconds left on that hook until he ends up perishing, and that generator is regressing as Bolitar kicked it. We do see a last-second attempt here by Dark to go in for it, but he would have had to trade for it, and Dark sees that is just absolutely not worth going for. We have Moon come in as well, but Bolitar's instinct drags him back to the hook, and he intercepts both instances of an attempted save here. At least the generator is finally popped. Mads is granted that adrenaline. All 4 survivors still alive and breathing, and they're now starting to work on these exit gates to secure the stages out of the gate. But Bolitar has something to say about that as he finds K once again in the corner of the map with a Z-wall once again. Spell out disaster. No, it won't. K just immediately ditches it, most likely now just holding W to that other exit gate that he knows fully well his fellow teammate has been working on. Bolitar goes for the snipe, which gets cocked by the ceiling of the main building, and I'm pretty sure that right there just sufficed to allow him to escape. No, he's still weakened. Does he make it to hatch?
There's a TP
no,
there.
he has a TP there, of course he does. It's just that weaken state that has to run out, and he would maybe make it to an exit gate. But I don't think he gets there in time, Zach.
Looks like it's going to be 8 stages for Bolitar here. And oh, nice bounce on the UVX. That was kind of clean, actually. That was really well played. Gonna get that Mori, secure that kill, and yeah, 8 stages I feel like you can be happy with on a killer like Unknown.
Yeah.
Considering I think that the game slowed down a little bit from like the initial like quick first down, but he able to bring it back, forcing trades and getting those hooks in the right positions on the map where all that progression was. So he was able to delay that because they didn't have too much progression on the other gen, but they were forced to work on it, right? Because he is in that area and he was holding it down. So I think that actually led to a few more stages, which I think Bolitar can be happy about, considering the efficiency on gens and these survivors. So, you know, confidence coming in from the Jinx team, and we'll see how they can perform on in the reverse fixture. Do you have any sort of comments on how that went? Do you think they're going to be able to match it?
Yeah, that's something I emphasized on about 10 or 20 minutes ago, is that death locations is everything, really. And we saw our survivor go down right next or in the general vicinity of that generator that was already at 90% progression. And Bolitar, of course, knowing fully well to take advantage of the situation, heading straight back with the survivor strapped to his shoulder to place him gently in that area. And then also just kept on denying the clean unhooks and forcing a trade in the end, getting another M1 on one of the other survivors in the meantime. So taking back so much pressure that was completely unnecessary for the survivor side of Team Jinx, and they could have had a much, much better result, probably even a 4-man out if that scenario had not taken place. So yeah, that was really unfortunate. Unknown is also, or has recently been known to be a killer that does not get a lot of stages. We have seen 2-stage games before, and I would also not say that the amount we've just seen is something that you should allow the killer to get. This is going to be a very tall order for DMR if he does end up playing killer for Team Jinx. I'm not too sure if DMR plays every killer for Jinx or if DMR is just the Hillbilly main. It's only going to take a couple of minutes till I get my answer to that. It's going to be a really difficult task no matter who's up for the challenge in this upcoming trial.
Yeah, I want to point out actually for the people play we saw on K, who is Deathhook, and we saw him immediately TP, but he actually committed to the unhooker. and Kay was able to get away. So they were able to keep all 4 survivors remaining in the trial. I'm not sure if Volatile decided to just go for the confirmed, injured survivor. But that decision allowed them to split the map. If you don't get that first elimination, it can, they still managed to stay like efficient on the gens. But I think crucially not getting that elimination early on sort of hurt his game a little bit. But the fact he was still able to get 8 stages is really impressive to me.
Unknown's overall struggle with those early eliminations, so I wouldn't be surprised if we saw something similar in the upcoming game. And he did end up splitting his pressure based on the fact he had the embrace. And if you have perks, you should really not try your hardest to not activate them. That's something we see time to time. That really spells out disaster for the killer player if they already have a game plan and pick perks accordingly, and then they don't take advantage of them at all, similar to what we saw with Bolitar and Ruin in the Hillbilly game, where you end up downing a survivor and just staying in that area, not forcing any of the survivors off the generators. Ruin is one of those perks that enable you to traverse the map very quickly and split pressure, try to exert global pressure more than anything to have survivors off generators holistically and not target into singular generators, whereas that's something that Pop Eruption would typically do. So you still need to focus to get full results based on your perks. It's the same with survivor sides, where if you don't activate Decisive Strike, Deliverance, Unbreakable, and all those second chances that we allow you to bring, if you don't activate those, the game's gonna look very different.
Yeah, the second chance perks buying time for them definitely. I will also touch on like the power usage as well. Unknown, I think, is relatively weak in chase. I mean, if you can't hit the power. I think some of the survivors, he did really well to be consistent and get those injuries. We saw some long range shots as well, which really actually helped his chases and secure those downs. But in a situation where you catch yourself on a bad tile, or they manage to take chase in like a stronger area, we could see Jinx Killer like struggle a little bit. I guess it depends on the survivor positioning, and we might see a bit of a different build coming in on their sides. But I felt like Ruin didn't really see much value for Bolitar. So, I mean, all of these factors working against him and still getting that result. And we'll see how it goes for Jinx. Of course, this is Severance's pick. So naturally, you'd feel like Severance have a game plan and they've practiced this a lot. Understand what areas of the map that they can sort of play towards and try and work those gens whilst maybe splitting bringing the killer to these areas where it's not really advantageous for the game. And we are now loading in very quickly to this game, and we're gonna very quickly see how that works out for them. And of course, I am very much hoping that Severance take this for the Mastermind tiebreaker, but I'm not gonna say anything because I don't want to.
It doesn't look too unlikely. I don't wanna. Yeah, you don't wanna.
I don't want to. I don't want to say anything. I'm just gonna sit. No, I'm not gonna.
I gave you the opportunity for a pun there, man. You don't wanna jinx it.
I don't want to jinx it. The result is unknown.
Yes.
There we go.
Perfect. You made perfect.
It's not a DBDLeague session if an unknown pun isn't made. I feel like everyone's looking for those.
Expectations. That was perfect. Yeah. And we're looking at a very distinct build here by Matt. Something I am yet to see on an unknown player. It's full on X build. I think the trend on YouTube used to be 4 or 5 years ago, when everybody started realizing, oh hey, now there's 4 hex perks in the game, we can do the shaman build, and that's something that we're looking at right now as well. Obviously that bottom perk not activated yet, the rest should fade only once the interaction with the obsession occurs. Matt's already making quick work of these walls around main building, wants to have quicker chases later in the games, or doesn't want to struggle with breaking the mid-chase, something that Bolita was struggling with, since he didn't get the opportunity early on, so he was forced to just break him over and over. Does get an early UVX on a shot onto Cartney, does not manage to connect with a hit, however, the M1 should barely be enough. And also, that's one thing that I want to point out. What's really odd with this killer, if you paid really close attention to the launch he just did, every time an unknown starts to go for an M1, he sort of lags back a bit. I want to say by about a foot, so 20-30 centimeters-ish. It looks really odd, and that's also that sometimes doesn't allow your hit to connect, which is really annoying for the killer side when your M1 isn't as responsive as it should be, as it is on all the other killers. Oh, wonderful patience here by Cartney, not dropping that pallet here, does not want to get zoned. Mads all-times into the wall, doesn't get the down. And I'm pretty sure, oh, he's just gonna end up going down on it with the little waiver. It's also going to obviously notify the killer that there's most likely someone nearby for the save, and we see Bolita with their sprint burst ready, immediately vaults back, has that really annoying position now for the killer on that pallet to just vault back and forth, basically in a safe position here. Yeah, and he's just gonna play it for time while Flix and Channel and generators on the other side of the map.
How much time is he wasting right now? I think this is really well played by Bolita to just like spam vault that and threaten the pallet save. It's going to waste so much of his time, and 2 gens have already completed and the hook hasn't been connected. I want to say the use of car control blocked that main window and really shut it down. He did break the main wall, but I think Cartney did really well to play into those 2 connecting loops. So really good chase by Cartney, and Cartney's now been picked up by Survivor, and it's just going to wave at the pallet. I don't know if he was planning to go down on it, but decided he had time to just pull it down and get the stun. And
he did the wave to fake it, and then he dropped it to stun him.
Insult to injury, and I think this is looking really bleak for the killer. He needs to get this down quickly, otherwise he's not going to get any momentum going into the later end of the game. We already have a lot of progression on the map, despite the first 2 gens popping so soon. That first down took 1 minute 36, and it didn't even result in a hook. So, you know, in terms of first hook versus first down, he doesn't even commit. He switches to Shen, decides to chase someone else. But you see, they just keep taking chase over to this main building. Like I said, they're just focusing on these specific areas where they know it's pretty strong. Breaking line of sight against this unknown and not able to, like, get his power. Just find Cartney, actually. The pallet is still here. Wally up to break it. No, he's going to hold W away. And there is a TP here, but the pallet's there. Is he going to use it? No, he doubles back. Really good play from Cartney. Oh, I kind of cursed him there. I'm very sorry.
You jinxed him.
Super nice. He's winning these 50-50. Oh, flashlight save not going to come through either. And is he body blocked by his own teleport just there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so first hook for our killer here, and 3 gens have popped. It's looking pretty bleak, I would say, for Jinx killer.
Bolita was not able to 4K in his game either, so maybe Mats can turn it around using this late game now that he's got a hook. Bolita is just so cocky. The way he's playing, he's always there for the pallet save, always there for the flashlight, is already ready for the insta save also. So he's trying to be as big of a nuisance to Mads as possible, knowing fully well Cortair 2, a relatively large map, you can just have your teammates on the other side of the map carefully working on those generators with no intervention whatsoever by the killer. Mads is just being held busy in this corner. Cartney finally going down as well. It's going to be the second stage, and I wouldn't be surprised if, despite his injury, Bolita is just waiting nearby to get this.
I think we had him.
Unhook. Did we?
I think we did, yeah. Bolita was just being
called it,
ratting around the chase, trying to be a nuisance, like you said, and 4th gen does pop, and the 5th one's very, very close. Look at this gen efficiency. So they clearly had a game plan. They say, like, right, let's protect a survivor. Let's protect Cartney. Bolita, I'm gonna go over there and mess with him a little bit, and you guys do gens, and it looks like they managed to do that perfectly. Because Cartney is unfortunately not going to go down for a second hook, and now Mads has to worry about these gens. Just have a TP there. It's going to result in an injury. Going to smack Flix as Flix runs off into the distance, and yeah, I feel like I mean, Ruin's still in play, but it doesn't seem to have gotten any value whatsoever because he's been having to commit to Cartney for so long.
Also just focusing to have that chase in that very corner of the map, constantly dragging our poor killer to that corner over and over and over, not allowing him to exert any kind of global pressure. So also in that way not profiting from having ruin on at all. Our survivors opted not to cleanse any of the totems, as it would just add to a waste of time from their point of view, since they could just have 2 survivors in chase essentially, and the other 2 busy with generators. We had Bolitar run after Cartney that entire time, ready for the pallet saves, ready for the flashlight saves even, and also just ready to take chase on his own, and if push comes to shove, also ready to get the unhooks. So yeah, Bolitar is the type of teammate you would get in your games that shadows the chase constantly and does not miss the flashlight save actually, so it ends up being worth it. And yeah, Matt's not finding a response to it so far. We've still got 1 generator remaining, but that 1 generator was incredibly far. You see 2 survivors run in this side of the map, and based on the fact that they've only sacrificed 2 stages so far, and all 4 survivors are still standing, we're most likely looking at 2 survivors on each side of the map, slowly but surely pushing the generators and gaining more and more progression on them, trying to choke out the killer or bleed out what Mads can really do in this game. They still have so many tiles left, and 3 out of 4 survivors are also healthy, so Mads would have to sacrifice a tremendous amount of time to these chases if he really wanted to go for down. As we just see with Bolitar here now, he's not even been injured and the chase has already been going on for half a minute, prompting the remaining survivor team to just go. What? Demolished. That's sweet payback. Prompting our survivors to put that last remaining generator. But then we see Bolitar get 2-tapped immediately. All according to plan though, because he was just trying to force the grab, so his other 3 teammates could get to the exit gate in time.
Yeah, Matt's going to be feeling pretty good about that interaction, even though the game probably hasn't gone how as he wanted. He's caught the rat, lurking around those chases, causing him grief, manages to get the grab on the pallet, so feels good. And yeah, I mean, for the survivors, it's a simple task just to get 2 survivors out, and then you can secure that win condition, and I'm sure they're not going to risk it. And it looks, yes, like we're going to be seeing a Mastermind set, and I'm very happy about that.
I was happy, I was about to say.
Yeah, so 2 stages for the Jinx killer Severance, showing that they know what they're doing on their own pick.
Yeah, what a performance, and what a difference in results also. So on 8th stage in comparison to the
3 stages.
Was it even 3? Yeah, it was. I'm pretty sure it was 3 in the end. Yeah, because Bolitar was down at the end. It was 3. So yeah, a ridiculous difference. Even stronger than the one we saw from the 4K2 to the 4K0 in the Hillbilly set. So these teams are currently in a back and forth, for once also winning their respective picks. That's something on which I've had my expectations reverted oh so many times. I'm pretty sure that was also with you, Zach, where we constantly saw teams win each other's sets, but not their own.
Yeah, it was the Meadow versus Loyalty, where they just won on each other's picks.
Loyalty, yeah. And it was also when I cast with Pry on the Archon and Rapture games, where they also kept taking each other's sets somehow. Yeah, for once it's, but now that we've advanced to the main stage, it seems like that's not the case anymore. And a very happy Zach in the caster booth, and I can imagine a happy abundance of viewers in the chat and in the YouTube comments also. We'll be looking forward to the Mastermind set once we are back after a short break, after we've just seen these 2 sets, and we'll go in a short hiatus for a couple of minutes, let the team set up, also take a breather, sip some water, since we've been talking for a long time. We need our hydration. Everybody stay hydrated if you're watching this and listening. So yes, we'll be back after a very short break with the Mastermind on Grim Pantry. Stay tuned, everybody.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am very, very excited to present to you the Mastermind set on Grim Pantry, the tiebreaker for these 2 teams who have dominated on their own picks so far. And I have been waiting for this moment for quite a while. In all of the casting games that I have taken, a Mastermind set is one that I have unfortunately been able to dodge so far. We've seen a lot of Mastermind sets so far in DBDL over the past 2 events, and I've managed to miss all of them. So now that I finally get to cast one, I am very excited for you.
You sound like you're losing your mind.
yeah. It's not something that I was felt like very unfortunate to miss, whenever I did. But super excited now.
Has led up to the challenges of not casting and then finally casting.
My entire time on the desk has led to this moment right here. And what a game to cast, Jinx versus Severance, two really strong teams. And we have K on the Mastermind for Team Jinx against the Severance survivors, and we see Chase onto Flicks taking over to Shaq's side and able to unfortunately mind game around that tower. I was gonna say the chase is going on long, but I seem to have casted cursed Flicks there. Very sorry, but
how dare you.
I'd say a relatively quick chase. Gens are popping off in the distance. You can see one gone and maybe a second pretty close. I think there was one nearby with... Oh no, it was that one that we heard. You can see the scratch marks running away from it into the jetty, Mathis.
Okay, we've just lost about 80% of our audience. So,
well, I used your joke, so it's your fault.
Yeah, it is in fact. Yeah, I always call the docks the jetty, which is I almost want to say very regional dialect. Oh, it's very British to say the least. Everybody calls it docks. But yeah, every time when I play with friends, I always call it the jetty just to be annoying because they usually don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But when I played with Zach, he knew exactly what I was talking about, and the amount of catharsis is about as comparable as you can be compared to the catharsis that Zach has casting Mastermind finally after so long. So I'm very happy you pointed out. Bullets are taking the chase on the jetty, getting hits on the jetty, and running away from the jetty. Can't have to overuse it now. I'm too happy. I'm so happy you use it.
I can't ignore the fact as soon as I saw it's Grim Pantry and I was casting with you that I would inevitably use the word jetty. So that was, whilst I did want to see the Mastermind set, I also did want to sort of tickle your fancy with that term. And there's a swing through the pallet. Unfortunately, not going to be able to drop it in time. So Bolotar going to be eating the dirt and taking a stage. 2 stages on the board, and that's going to be a pain res on Cartney's gen in the distance. So I'd say pretty strong start for K, considering that it's a Mastermind. We've got pain res, pop, and eruption in play, so full slowdown. You do kind of need it in Wesker because at this stage in, I guess, Wesker's DBD journey, a lot of people just know how to counter him and play around him. So to get 2 stages so early on is going to be a really strong, I think, start for Team Jinx. Against these Severance survivors as well. But yeah, going well so far. Sort of hovering around this area, knows the survivor might be around, but wants to sort of protect this hook a little bit. Has a couple of gens in tow in the middle of the map, as well as that one on top of docks, shall we call it. Actually, it looks like we've got a nice little 3-gen here over in this area, so it could be in K's interest to hold this a little bit, which is actually kind of perfect that he's got a hook in this area too.
Oh, Zach, you betrayed the jetty.
I'm a people pleaser. I'm so sorry.
It's going to haunt you forever now. But yeah, it's a very interesting comment you made on where Mastermind is currently standing within the in his journey in comp DBD, where I feel like he's sort of at the point where both sides know what he's capable of. But that also entails that our survivors are starting to take granted what has not been explored yet, or what true mastery on this killer could really carry along. Where we've seen one certain player I want to point out is also Obi from Calamity, who has been who was also the first, I'm pretty sure, to show off hug text with the killer on the big stage, and that caught so many people off guard, and also caught the team that he played against off guard, and helped his team win the set overall. So yeah, I think that's a journey that many killers undergo, where at the start, obviously, people are trying to investigate what the killer is capable of, what is to be expected on him. And now we're back at this point where we see true mastery on this killer shine, and where survivors are starting to rely on routine and internalized strategy that they're used to by this point, and that might just make them drop their guard for a split second and give the killer the upper hand again to show off things that they might not be familiar with just yet. K also very close to getting this tunnel out here. Goes for Bolitar instead. far away from the jetty this time. We are continuing our chase at main building, which is going to be really difficult for K to take care of. As with any map, the main building is always going to be the biggest nuisance for any killer. Bolitar makes his way to the really safe pallet on the main, or the safest pallet really. It's still going to be mostly a 50-50, but away from the window, K goes for a 180 back to the middle of the map, hoping to intercept some of the progress that our survivors are currently working for. And we do hear a lot of generators pumping at quite high progression, especially near the jetty. Oh, he's got the double gen on top of the jetty as well, which is really difficult to work around.
It is, yeah, and I think K spotted that, which is why he was holding the hook there on Bolitar, because it is an area of concentrated gens. I know they were, yeah, the 4-gen is it's such an unfortunate spawn for the survivors. So really going to work to K's advantage. It's got eruption applied on 3 of them. So if anyone goes down right now, it's going to be devastating for the progression that they've already got. He's still got 2 pain res stacks as well, and pop goes the weasel. So if he can get an elimination right now, it's going to be so hard for them to break that, I think. Spots the reset out, Smuz over in this area. Bolitar, it's going to be actually Flix and Carney right here. And Bolitar's been reset off in the distance and he dodges out really nicely. Nice little juke there. Still has this pallet to play. Is going to be camping that. Nice little mind games, hiding the red stain, and I think he makes that vault. Oh, he doesn't!
Yeah,
and that's eruption!
Zach, do you?
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I think that's the second time I've cursed Flix. I hope that Flix doesn't watch this back and points the finger at me, but...
fellow Britain being jinxed over and over by you?
Yeah, potentially. It's because they didn't chase at the jetty, that's why. I think, yeah. So, eruption going to go off, and this is going to be a basement hook.
The safe haven the jetty is.
Onto Flix, and K's going to be making her way back over there. Has Pop Goes the Weasel? Does not. Okay, does opt to use it. And yeah, that's a pretty dangerous place to be hooked, especially since you're still in the area. I feel like the survivors are going to know now that they need to not be running sort of anywhere near here. But they are slowly starting to get these gens going. But it is very difficult against a killer like Wesker, I feel.
In simple terms, this setup straight up sucks. I speak from experience because this is exactly what my team Eclipse got in our qualifier game against Valentine's this tournament, where we also had, when it was against Spirit, and we also had the double generator on the jetty, and essentially what we decided to do is we just immediately doubled the one that was close to the one that wasn't far on the elevator platform, and the one that's closer. So we would have the far away generator for the later stages of the game, since that's most likely what a killer is going to be less interested in dedicating their time to. But our survivors did not seem to have spotted this setup early on, and are instead now stuck in it with that eruption pain res chain over and over, and Bolitar also getting very close to being tunneled out here. K now being led away to the other side of the map here, however, in exchange for Bolitar's sacrifice. Does he make it back in time? And I'm pretty sure if he does, this should be a 4K based on that pop eruption chain that he's going to profit from so well. He has clear line of sight on both of these generators, and if neither pop, I'm pretty sure he can 4K this on one generator remaining.
Yeah, Bolitar did really well to lead him across the map into that corner, and it's probably very crucially why they've managed to get that 4th gen done. But now you've still got 2 stacks of pain res, and you have a pop and eruption chain. It's going to be swing at the grass. And yeah, I mean, the reset comes through, and I think they knew this.
They're searching for wild Pokemon there.
Yeah, throwing the Pokeball.
Yeah, no encounter, sadly. The Safari Ball missed.
This is the most ludicrous region I've ever seen. I mean, it does happen on this map, and it's something that you kind of like, you do. Like, yeah, K's just chilling, just smacking some wood, building a house, and yeah, like, what do you do in the survivors? I feel like you just need to try your best to pull this Wesker away from the area, but why would you? I feel like we've got a very sort of long and drawn out game coming up right now.
Yeah, based on that cheeky little sidestep there, absolutely. If he had got that hit there, I'm pretty sure he could have followed that up with a 2-tap, considering Cartney would have been thrown into the corner of the map there. But yeah, this is going to be really difficult now for all survivors, and realistically, they can only go for this 3-person split with the balanced landing player on the jetty gen and the other 2 doubling up on the generator that is still on the map, since that's going to allow them to split more efficiently. And the balanced landing player obviously is always going to be safe, no matter what K tries to pull off, since he's obviously not going to be able to hit our jetty survivor with any of these rushes, since there's just too much collision in the way, and he needs to make at least 2 sharp turns in order to reach the generator from the incline. So I'm almost starting to think that this is looking like one of those old or really old stalemates that we saw. I don't remember if it was Sequence at the time, but I know it was Exise on Wraith, who was basically in an unbreakable 3-gen on Dead Dog Saloon, where the gens were literally right next to each other, and there was nothing the survivors could do. And basically Exise had to walk about like 10 meters overall, and he would reach all the generators already. And this is looking like it could be a similar situation. Someone needs to take K's attention here, and they absolutely cannot wait for the balanced landing to come back over and over. They will just have to take the risk at some point while the other 2 survivors double up on that generator that's still on the map. So this is gonna be really tough, and it's looking closer and closer like a stalemate if we don't see any decisive plays from either side.
I'm trying to mind game that, and
Imagine.
Yeah, imagine indeed. But unfortunately, Shen's going to be too aware of what's going on there and doesn't really want to commit too long in this area because they know exactly what they need. One thing I do want to say is that middle gen by Shaq is getting dangerously close to its regression events. So eventually he's not going to be able to regress that gen any further. So it's really just a war of attrition. I think the survivors just need to keep pressuring the gens, keep trying to force K to protect them, and then eventually they'll be able to get it done, right? It's just a bit of a long drawn out thing if they play it correctly. They seem to be aware that main building is the best place to go to in the event of a chase like that. And looks like they might be trying to reset underneath main, but Renato's still here running up to the top side of main. There is still a few pallets left. That pallet was not used by Bolitar earlier on in the game, and it is going to be used now. Deciding to hold W, and that is going to be balanced landing used. Not opting to use power, instead going to follow him down, and it is going to result in Shen going down, and that is a fresh hook. So this is going to be a pain res on Cartney's Shen if it hasn't reached its final regression event. I've not been keeping count.
It may have, to be honest, yeah. Well, we're about to see.
And this is a hook in the area too. This is so much worse. And that isn't a pain res hook, actually. So maybe opting for the hook positioning instead of the pain res hook itself. Oh, no, it was. Oh, so it's a different gen.
Oh, yeah.
I'm confused. And they've got 2 really high progress, or is that gen just not able to be regressed anymore? Yeah, no, I think that's reached its 10 regression event, so he's not able to regress that anymore, which is going to be huge for the survivors, right?
Yeah, this is basically where the inputs, or the killer's inputs towards the war of attrition ends. He's run out of resources like the Germans did in World War I. So, yeah, the survivors should start to win the upper hand here, because obviously they're not going to run out of toolboxes and wrenches on the generators. I'm not referring to the item, obviously they're banned. Need to be careful with my lingo. But we see Shen hiding in basement. That's probably the one that they want out the gates, since Cartney's already death hook. So yeah, now it's all about optimizing the amount of stages. You're probably going to see Cartney being aggressive on one of those gates, but they are very far away. We've got one behind Shaq, or we might actually try to see a hash escape attempt. If Cartney's already on that gate here, the very corner of the map, it seems like K's... I'm not sure if he got an angle on the gate there, to be honest. But if Cartney makes it out, then that would spell out the escape for Shen also. You might hear him, however, because he's dangerously close to the basement, as Shen is now also fully infected. So if he is found, he would be dead immediately, based on the slowness. But if Cartney has played his cards right here, and is currently working on that exit gate, I don't see a scenario in which both of these survivors don't exit out the gate. He does have a clear line of sight though, so this is going to be a very tall order, a very difficult task for our survivors.
Yeah, ultimately Chaos to hope he finds the survivor with the least amount of stages to secure the most amount of stages for the match. I think whilst they wasn't able to defend that that 3-4 gen right there, what it did allow is a lot more stages to come into play because, as we said, like the killer itself, a lot of players know what to expect and know the limitations. But when you have a good setup on killer for those gens, a reset actually does come through onto Shen, but fully infected still. So if they are found, yeah, so they reset at Shack. So they're playing this a little bit slow. Does K sniff it out? What I was trying to say is that 4 gen gave K so much time to commit to these chases. And the survivors had to come to K, you know? It's not the other way around. Wasn't being pulled around the map. It was very much K's territory to play with. And thankfully, the game mechanic added with the regression events has allowed the survivors to complete the gens in a sooner fashion than we'd hope, you know? Or than we were expecting even. But yeah, they seem to be playing this really slow, probably knowing that the gates are in sight of K. Trying to stealth this. Ideally, you know, they get everyone out.
I feel like they have to go for the 2 out here as well to sort of counterbalance the setback they experienced thanks to the generator RNG and unfortunate 4 gen they had around the jetty.
Around the jetty, indeed. The jetty has been the main area of the map so far.
He's become his own person by now. It's his own character.
it's the new survivor jetty. Oh, right.
Life could be a dream.
Yeah, we're just waiting for someone to show themselves right now. They're playing this very, very slow. Of course.
You think a skin for the jetty would be the docks?
You think so? Oh, maybe that's the opportunity they need to rework the map that we've been waiting for years.
Make survivors the tiles, then they can place themselves where they need to be. Yeah, I'm gonna play the jungle gym today. Where do you guys need me?
Run for 5 gens by Jetty. It's embarrassing. Just, I guess, a game of hide and seek that we're watching right now. A bit slow. But K just seems to be playing reconnaissance right now. And honestly, in terms of map RNG, K's had it pretty nicely, I think. Would you agree, Matt?
Yeah, especially with the gates now. I feel like what could be possible, with Carney now being found, they should still have the balanced landing player in the trial. So whoever is found first should be the BL person, and then you just drop off main or the tower, respectively. If he gets hit here, though, oh yeah, okay, he's dead.
Nice M2.
Does not end up being thrown towards the exit gate, and instead the polar opposite direction. Even if Shen comes in for a hit now, it will be in vain because that would be the one shot. Oh, he heals last second though. He sprays himself. Does he get it? He does.
Does not get it.
Wow.
That's clutch. That spray in the last second, actually.
Reverse expectations.
That was actually a very, very clutch play for them to both get out there. So best case scenario right now, and that stealthing paid off. Maybe the plan, like you said, to be spotted at main. But Shen was the one with balanced landing. So if Carney's there, like if Carney's caught out of position there, then yeah, would result in the death. But managed to path outside on that side, on the side towards the gate. So yeah, a bit of a situational thing there.
Yeah, despite being thrown in the opposite direction.
Welcome back, everyone. Here's the housekeeping of DBDLeague. I don't know if you noticed, maybe you're living under a rock, but very likely you noticed that the stream was cutting for a couple of minutes, and we are always sharing the reasons for that with transparency, and I'll also talk about the match in a second. Just be advised, the topic might be a little bit difficult, but in fact, we do have a staff member that is in an area where there is unfortunately some war activities going on, and the messages that we just received when the stream cut was there has been an explosion or some sort of sound like that lights are off in my street. And in a moment like this, you also have very different priorities from how can we bring the DBDL stream back as quick as possible. We love you guys, but it takes 5 minutes to bring it back because something else matters a little bit more. Yeah, most important things first. Staff member is safe, producer is safe. Stream is now going live in 3 minutes, I believe, based on my perspective here on upbuilding delay. We are sorry about the final trial. We are not going to interrupt the teams. They were far too deep in the trial that they were playing, and we don't want to have the competition being influenced based on events like this. It is unfortunate that you won't see the last trial, especially when it's about having such a decision in a best of 3. But we believe it's more fair for the teams itself if we let the trial play out and then tell you the result of that trial instead of calling a restart and then maybe having something different. Yeah, that was a shock for all of us. We are trying to stay calm behind the scenes. We hope that you can stay calm at home as well. Use the time maybe to refill your glass, grabbing some snacks, and we will inform you with the result of the game as quick as possible. We are also having Oracle and Affliction slowly preparing in their voice chats for the upcoming games. So let's hope that we are having a smooth stream for the rest of the night. And yeah, we are asking for your understanding in this matter. Yeah, I think that is all that I can tell you for now. We'll be right back for a moment.
Hello everybody, this is Zach and I now back after we've already got the results between Severance and yeah, of course, I'm already thinking about the next set, so that got lost on me. Severance and Zach, help me out.
Jinx.
Jinx,
Yep.
yeah, Severance and Jinx, exactly. So the Bolotov finished his trial. We, as Dai has already elaborated on, we decided not to intervene. Therefore, the result that they've provided us with now, both teams that we were still able to see with our respective match staff in their VCs. Bolotov finished his trial with a 3k and 10 status overall, meaning Severance take the matchup 2-1 and will be advancing in the main stage. Meanwhile, Jinx dropped down to the lower bracket, meaning Zach and my prediction were accurate at the start.